Just a quick video here. GME, one of my subscribers asked, actually a subscriber who I believe comes from the same town as me, asked me what I thought about the liquidity and GME and whether we had some more accumulation happening. And so I just thought we'd have a quick look at this. This is GME today. This here could just be hedging, could be a little bit of distribution there. Now we've got a bit of hedging coming in there. We've seen a lot of gamma come off during that period. The interesting thing is, if I just get the gamma out of the way there, is we can see that here that we still have reasonably strong IV, which is suggesting that there is some illiquidity there in the IV. Historically, is that IV very high? If we go back to these periods, it isn't as high as previous periods. If we just have a look, this is the sort of area that we've seen a little bit of hedging happening, as in discretionary hedging happening. It's hard to see because there's so much gamifying or gaming of the options here. So this is where we see some hedging here in about the 70-80 delta. The rest of it, just I get lost in it. There's no standard hedging. There's no standard trading in it. All of my years watching trading, I can't see anything there that really means anything. The IV, we've had a bit of a pump in the IV, but nothing special. So if we just went through and we had a quick look at the open interest, the open interest at the moment, again, we can just see this little bit of hedging here, and it's sticking. It's a little bit sticky in here. Yes, it's come off a lot, but it is reasonably sticky if we consider that we've also had quite a lot of stronger positioning coming off there. And there's nothing to tell me that there's any new hedging happening in there. There's any new positions happening in there long, and if we're seeing standard hedging in here, we would start to see standard positions being traded in there as well. And I can't really see standard positions. This is the 7-day. There's nothing obvious about 7-day apart from this little bit of hedging is now rolled into the 7-day. So maybe this hedging will see it come off during the next week, and we might get to see some more action in GME. But it's just here. This is the calls over here. This is the puts and the hedging here, and this is the section that I've been looking at that I think is discretionary hedging, meaning rather than an algorithm, it's being done by particular traders who felt the top here. It happens to coincide pretty well with the top. It was a little bit further out wide, but that hasn't really had to stay. This might be algorithmic. These couple here, that's moved across as it's gone down. Those positions may well have been rolled across. If we just go and have a look at what that, we'll go and have a look here. I've got a couple of screens open here. Okay, sorry, a couple of instruments open here. This top one here is GME, and that's where it's been tracking. And this below is CBOE's dispersion index. And look, lots of people try and read this different ways, and I mean, our minds and our eyes love looking for patterns, but what I sort of tend to think here is that when dispersion is high, we have volatility being dispersed around the index, and that's what we around the indexes and around different stocks, and that's what we can see here. So we've got it's just not needed. It's not spreading into these outliers where market makers are trying to find one way or the other to move the compression that they're getting from zero DTE or from index hedging. It's just not a concern. And another thing we can notice here is that this rise, if I put in another one, if I just drop the VIX in there, I'll put the VIX in, let's just move it. Again, although we've had the VIX pull back in this position, we had a lot of liquidity happening in there, and we can see as well the VIX has dropped off at about the same time as this dispersion's dropped off. So the dispersion index tells me and lines up with these couple of times that we've had good illiquidity come in and accumulation, and I'm not particularly seeing the accumulation happening at the moment. in GME. If we just take this, back to GME, and we'll just take this dispersion out. This is just an extra, and then we'll have a look where we are at the moment with the with our liquidity indicators. So at the moment, I think that we're still reasonably. It definitely has started to drop, but we're not seeing these builds that we saw that when we were just looking at the dispersion index, where we had seen these high levels, then going into some accumulation. Is this accumulation just a continuation? Could I just say that this is accumulating up, and we've still got some tight liquidity here, maybe, but we've been quite tight for a while, and I would have thought that we needed to see a dip there, making this a little bit more illiquid if we wanted to get another run on it. I mean, you can very quickly drop. If we looked at one of these periods here, we can go from quite high loose liquidity into dropping down into this tight liquidity as it's we've got a price appreciation. That could happen quite quickly. But if we have a look, we're really high in this place at the moment. We're higher than we have been since before we're looser than we have been since before this current run in GME. What that means, where it takes us, I don't know. If we went and had a look at the 4 hours, the 4 hours is looking a little bit better. It's starting to look like we're dropping back into a little bit of liquidity. That'll be seen, I suppose, in the options, whether we've hung on and we've got a bit of a base here. I really don't know. I was trying to see whether we've dropped into let's. Oh no, it doesn't like that. I was just trying to see if we're in the volume node. Let's go down to 10. So, have we just dropped into the bottom of this volume node? Quite possibly. So we might get some lateral movement while we're getting a bit of a recharge. But I would think that we're going to see a little bit more flat price action before we start to see a squeeze getting on here again, and we would want to see this liquidity drop down to these sort of nice spots here, these nice bluer spots in this average liquidity sentiment there. I'm going to do a couple more videos today. I just thought I'd do a quick one on GME, just so people could get some answers from yesterday's in a short video. Thank you very much. Good trading for the 22nd.